Hey everyone, it's Shotzi for the Rough Cuts on Sunday. I hope you've been having a great week. As I mentioned on Thursday, I believe it was, this week and also into the next several days is a festival in Austin called Fantastic Fest. It's one of, I think, actually the only festival of its kind where it focuses mostly on one particular genre, and that's horror, but or mainly horror. There's also like thriller, anime, action, that sort of thing, but mainly horror films or documentaries regarding horror films. So that's going to carry me up into next month, which is the Austin Film Festival. So I'm going to be talking about, it's going to be a lot of film festival movies for the next several weeks. So today I'm going to talk about my first experience with thriller and kind of, you know, like the quintessential master of suspense thriller, and that's Alfred Hitchcock. And the movie I'm going to be talking about today is from 1963, The Birds. This was my first experience with Hitchcock. I saw this movie when I was 7 years old. I was watching it with my brother. My brother, being the twisted individual of a child that he was, had me convinced that it was actually a comedy. So I wasn't afraid of the movie at all. But also that kind of planted the seed to where I've never been scared from a horror film or thriller or anything like that. And I think it's because of my brother Jason doing that. So anyway, he didn't ruin it for me. I still appreciate these films, but it's just, yeah, they're not scary for me at all. The Birds. This was one of, actually, I think it was Hitchcock's first movie where he talks about, or rather, he presents a villain where it isn't a person. It's basically nature going after you. Because usually when he has your protagonist, he thinks that there's someone after him or she thinks there's someone after her, and usually there is. Usually, yes, you are being watched and there are people after you. But in this case, it's birds. It's not a person. It's nature itself that is out to get you. And no one knows why. So it opens, you have beautiful blonde, of course, being a Hitchcock film. You have your gorgeous blonde. In this case, it's Tippi Hedren, who was kind of like seen as the new Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly was by far Hitchcock's favorite blonde, but she was already married to Prince Rainier by this point in time. So Tippi Hedren became the new blonde. And she is entering a pet shop. And then you have the classic Hitchcock ascot wearing leading man, gorgeous Rod Taylor. And so he enters the same pet shop, and he recognizes her because she's been, you know, kind of like a practical joker in society. He sees her, recognizes her, and so he decides to play a trick on her. And so the two of them, it's kind of like cat and mouse. You see, like, there's chemistry there, sort of like they can't stand each other, yet they're still attracted to each other. Anyway, he goes back to his home. He couldn't find lovebirds that he wanted. And then she tracks him down and follows him up to his family home in Northern California. And when they're up in Bodega Bay, that is when just kind of weirdness begins. Birds start attacking people and no one knows why. So this was based on, well, actually very loosely based on Daphne du Maurier's short story, The Birds. And it's not the first time that Hitchcock took something from Daphne du Maurier. He also did an adaptation of the film, or of the book, Rebecca. Actually, I had to read that in 8th grade. I'm not sure if anyone else ever had to read Rebecca in 8th grade, but it's a decent book. Yeah, and also a fairly good movie. I recommend that as well. But, you know, check out The Birds. It's really interesting. The acting's very good. The storyline, it's not bad. It's different. It's different. It's a lot of character development that's going on in this. So just like all Hitchcock films, you have to really pay attention to the people that are involved because they are what create the story. And one thing that I love about this is the use of Oscar Sala's predecessor to the synthesizer. He made the first electronic musical instrument, and at this point in time, he made this with bird sounds. I don't remember why he made it with bird sounds, but it just happened to coincide with the making of this film. So the timing was perfect. And so for all of the bird noises that they needed, they were able to use this, basically a synthesizer, to create those different bird calls and the sounds. And they used hand puppets, mechanical birds, and real birds in this film. And for the bird attacks, it is pretty freaky. It's kind of funny because some of it looks weird. It does. It looks weird. That's why I was laughing at it as a little kid. Not just because of my brother, but it was very easy to convince me that it was funny when I was little. But it's good. It's good. It's a good thriller, and I love Hitchcock. He's great. And, check this one out. Also, Tippi Hedren, she had a nervous breakdown from one of the scenes in this. I think you can kind of figure out what scene it is when you watch this, because they told her they were going to be using mechanical birds, but they were using, like, real birds being, like, thrown at her at this point in time over a course of, I think, 7 days, something like that, and she ended up having a nervous breakdown and had to be hospitalized because of it. But the scene turned out great, so you should watch it even just for that scene. It's awesome. I will see you all next time. I will be talking about a whole lot of horrors, a whole lot of thrillers, some interesting movies. Adam will be back on Thursday to talk about some things that are near and dear to his heart, and I will see you all next time. So until then, goodbye.